ballpark and joining me here.
It was lovely weather.
Oh, it's perfect, man. I tell you, I've already been out to ball games this year where it was frigidly cold, and then later on in the week it was scorching hot. But ain't that Texas?
Right. Oh, I remember with the 2022 season, Caleb Jameson and Brooks' senior year, me and Caleb's dad was talking one day, and we wore hoodies and jackets the entire season. Last game of the season, we were still bundled up. It never warmed up, really. So I'll take these 76-degree nights.
Absolutely, and the sun falling as we get ready for first pitch here from the land, and we've got Prairiland in a really nice spot, positioned for the playoffs here in the first round of district play, and Rains following close behind. Of course, it's really been a tight one. I think that coming into the season, Weezy, a lot of people kind of expected Winsboro to be up there near the top. Mount Vernon right now is the district leader, followed by Prairiland. Mount Vernon 4-0, Prairiland 3-1. And then you've got Winsboro at 2-2, tied with the Chisholm Mustangs. And then I've got some incomplete district records, if you will. Rains, I've only got a 1-1 record.
They had a bye the first week.
They had a bye. Commerce 0-2, and then Lone Oak 0-4. And so right now, Prairiland looking very good in the district standings as we get ready for the midway point.
Right, and it kind of appeared before district started, just looking at the records and who they played and whatnot, that Mount Vernon is a pretty good team. It looks like they've got a good chance of repeating as district champs. And then it's kind of like basketball. You can take Chisholm and Winsboro and Rains and Prairiland and go, which three are gonna come out of these four? And the way it's been the last, I guess, 6 years since this district was kind of formed, these teams have been together. Commerce and Lone Oak have always been a bit weaker, and it looks to be the case again this year. So I went back and looked over, went back to 1921. And
you went back to when?
2021.
Okay, I was going to say, that's the most wheezy thing I've ever heard in my life.
and that's what it is. In 21, the last team in was Prairiland with 6, 22 Edgewood with 5, 23 Chisholm with 7, 24 Grand Saline with 5, and last year Prairiland was 6. So if you can get the 4 wins against Lone Oak and Commerce, then if you can scrap out 2 more, history says your chances are pretty good.
Absolutely. And so calling out the starting lineups, and for the visiting Rains Wildcats, Hunter Chandler is going to lead things off and be catching tonight. Batting second in center field is Gage Cook. Batting third at third base is Cash Jenkins. The designated hitter in the cleanup spot is Sam Haney. Batting fifth, Caden Briggs in left field. Kanan Clayton batting sixth at second base. The pitcher will be Jaden Sheridan, and he'll be batting seventh. Batting eighth is Lynn Tollison in right field. And then rounding out the lineup for Rains is the shortstop, Major Wallace. And we'll bring you the Prairiland starting lineup following our nation's anthem. All right, and as promised, the starting lineup for the Prairiland Patriots leading things off, and behind the plate tonight, as always, Austin Gordon. Batting second in center field is Adam Anderson. Batting third, the shortstop, Keaton Kennebrew. Batting fourth at second base is Jaden Whitaker. Batting fifth, the third baseman, Jack Phillips. Batting sixth in right field is Wyatt Moore. Batting seventh in left field is Eli Robertson. Batting eighth at first base, Aiden Lane. And rounding out the lineup for Prairieland on the hill is Luke Rhodes. And Weezy, we're going to get a look at Rhodes on the bump here tonight. And as the season has gone along, he's found more control, and he's a hard thrower. I think that we've seen some really good things out of Luke Rhodes.
Yeah, and you know, he can bring it pretty good. Like you said, you know, some of his issues early on was kind of cooling it down and finding the strike zone and all. But when he's locked in, there's not hardly a better pitcher in district than Luke Rhodes. You know, and he showed that last year too. He first, you know, I guess came onto the scene in his own right as a varsity player, and Prairieland's comeback, 7th inning comeback win against Winsboro last year. And he's kind of kept the momentum going. Has a lot of strikeouts. They don't hit him very good, very hard. If he can just keep it in the strike zone.
And that's early on was a little bit of a challenge and a battle for Rhodes, but as I said, as the season has continued, his control has gotten better and better, and man, he has been a tough one to hit for opponents, and like you said, very high strikeout numbers. So I'm excited to see what Luke brings to the dish here tonight with his battery mate, Austin Gordon. And then, you know, that infield, you talk about shortstop, Keaton Kennebrew, doesn't matter what sport it is. That's a young man that's as steady as they come. Jaden Whitaker, Jack Phillips, and then the first baseman, Aiden Lane, as we are underway for first pitch. And speaking of which, there's a swinging strike one.
Now, you know, and Raines is prone to the strikeout. In their 2 games against Chisholm, they struck out 9 times in the first game and 11 in the second. So, you know, if Luke's able to locate it, he could have a big night here with strikeout numbers.
He's up quickly 0-2 on Hunter Chandler as he's set and ready to come home, and a swinging strike 3. So that quickly sends Chandler back to the dugout and brings up Gage Cook, center fielder. And so Raines out of the gate goes lefty, and then hitting from the right side of the plate is Cook. And 4 straight swinging strikes to open up the game for Rhodes.
Well, that's definitely what Coach Tony Sanders likes to see.
And I briefly, you know, Luke passing by, and I asked him, you know, how you feeling? He was like, great, man. I feel locked in and ready. And so far in the early goings, that's exactly what we've seen from him.
Well, and Luke is definitely a guy that, you know, I know hitters are taught, look for your pitch, wait for your pitch, you know, but, you know, if Raines does that too long, they're going to find themselves down 0-2 in the count. You know, if they keep waiting and looking and trying to be patient and whatnot.
Cook was able to fight that one off, takes the count to 2-2, and fights another one back into the screen to keep the count even. So Rhodes with the 2-2 goes into his windup and comes home, swinging strike 3. And that's out number 2, brings up Cash Jenkins, the third baseman.
Now batting for the Raines Wildcats, the third baseman, number 4, Cash Jenkins.
Well, and that's exactly what you want to do. You know, we talked before about the teams that are involved, and, you know, Prairiland, I won't say they've got to. It's not a must-win or whatever, but you'd like to come away with a split in the series at worst to try to get to that 6. And a win here tonight puts them at 4.
So kind of similar to Major League Baseball. You count the magic numbers, right?
Right. It's more fluid than a magic number, but it's a good target to look at.
Absolutely. So Rhodes this time, Jenkins falls behind 2-0. And then this one tagged out into left center field, and it will get down. And the first base runner is aboard.
The sun is, from this field, is rough on the third baseman and the left fielder. And I'm not sure if Eli kind of lost that one in the sun, but it looked like he had a little trouble picking it up.
And it's a long chase. It was somewhat in the gap. I think he could have gotten to it. Like you said, I also feel like that sun's probably going to fall down in about 20 minutes, give it a little bit time. Sam Haney, the designated hitter, takes a look at ball 1 from Rhodes. This one a bit inside.
Coach Sanders is going with a little bit different lineup tonight than the Patriots have used in their previous district outings. Eli Robertson is starting tonight in left field, and the normal left fielder, Wyatt Moore, is in right field. Santos is not getting the start tonight. And I'll tell you, Eli Robertson, that takes me back to the 2021 team. Eli Robertson has made the most of his opportunities so far this year. And I think he's worked his way in and earned himself a spot out there with his bat.
And even though this ball gets by Gordon, it is ball 4, and that will send the runner down to second.
Brings up the left fielder.
That'll bring up Caden Briggs. And so 2 quick outs from Prairiland, and then a hit and a walk sets Raines up in a decent 2-out rally position. As Rhodes comes set against Briggs. Swinging strike 1, and that's how the first 2 batters started. I think it's important for Rhodes to get ahead in the count early.
Yeah, you get them behind in the count, it definitely works to your advantage. And with the way Luke throws it, it puts those hitters kind of guessing it. Looks like he may have missed. Him and Austin may have been on different pages with what the pitch was supposed to be that time.
That evens the count up at 1-1. And runners now at second and third all of a sudden for Raines. And a high swinging strike 2. And that's the thing with Rhodes' velocity. That's a tough pitch to lay off of. It gets on you really quick. And this one right down the gut, lower half of the zone. And that is 3 strikeouts in the first inning for Luke Rhodes, and the Prairiland Patriots coming to bat. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
Yay! We're so excited you decided to become a member.
Thanks. I didn't think it would be this easy.
I know. We've opened up memberships so even more people can take advantage of our amazing services.
Are you going to clean this up?
Become a new member and take advantage of all RRCU can offer. Experience the credit union difference anytime, anywhere.
No, seriously, are you going to clean this up?
Do you RRCU?
And back here on Game Day, Stephen Johnston, Wheezy Morrison, bringing you the action between Prairiland and Raines here in a district matchup. And Wheezy, it got a little bit dicey, a little 2-out rally going for the Rains Wildcats, and then Luke Rhodes, just as he did the first two batters, collects the strikeout to end the threat.
Well, you know, in district, which I realize it's a small sample of 2 games, but he's kind of been that way all year. That it's a little over 7 innings. Rhodes has 15 strikeouts, so he's averaging over 2 strikeouts an inning in district play. So that's kind of what you get with him a lot of times, is striking out the sides. And if they can keep that up, tack on a couple of runs. Rains, they lost to Chisholm in 2 straight games, but other than the 5th inning of the first game when Chisholm scored 8 runs, it was close games both times, or a split with Chisholm. And the first game, they ended up getting run rule, but it was 4-2. And not only was it 4-2, but Rains had 2 outs in that 5th inning and made a couple of errors, hit by pitch, and a couple of hits later, and Chisholm had scored 8. So they're a pretty good ball team. So Prairiland needs to scratch out as many as they can against these guys.
Sheridan opens up with a ball down in the dirt, and watching him warm up, he does like to throw some breaking stuff, some off speed, and that's what he goes with on the first pitch to Gordon. And Austin will be followed by Anderson and Kennebrew as he watches strike 1 cross the plate. And speaking of Chisholm, I saw Coach Millsap wandering around here along with Coach Wood. So Chisholm, who has a night off, and Coach Blyton as well. Rolled over towards short. And Gordon, despite the good speed, is put out. Goes 6-3 if you're scoring at home.
Grounds out to shortstop, brings up the center fielder, number 3, Adam.
Yeah, as you mentioned, for Chisholm, were pretty good ball players in their own right a few years ago. Espen and Evan. Against Chisholm, Sheridan, he was tagged with all the runs. They scored 10 on him, but none of them were earned. He didn't strike out many, he walked a couple, but he threw strikes, he put the ball in play, which is what a lot of pitchers, their MO is. I'm not going to strike out a lot of people, I'm not going to walk them, I'm going to put it in play and trust my defense. But the defense kind of let him down that game. Rains had 8 errors. They're capable. They bounced back and beat Chisholm 3-2 the next game. So it may be a matter of which Rains team shows up.
So Anderson with a 2-1 count at the plate. Sheridan gets the call that he likes and comes home. And off the handle of the bat, but a deep throw would be needed from first or from short. It's not going to happen. And Anderson is aboard.
Brings up the 3-hole hitter, number 7, Keaton Kennebrew.
Prairiland does have good speed at the top of their lineup, their first 2 hitters. You mentioned Austin Gordon. Of course, he's fast. And Anderson also has good speed. So they can also move around base paths too once they get on.
And now Kennebrew, his first opportunity, swings at strike 1. And I mentioned Keaton, 3-sport athlete, has been the quarterback, a mainstay for the football team, and kind of a doing the dirt work kind of guy on the basketball team, and 3-hole hitter and pitcher and shortstop for the baseball team.
Yeah, and Keaton's been a varsity player since his sophomore year in all 3 sports. And in the key positions. Like you said, he'll do the gritty work, play the defense. Coach Weddle usually had him on the other team's biggest guy inside, and so Keaton's he's a team player and the kind you want on your bench and with you in the dugout.
And this one will fall for ball one. Anderson with the lead off first. And he's going to go. Throw down to second. It's a good one, and they're going to say the tag was not applied, and Anderson has a stolen base.
Yeah, the throw was on the right side of the bag. It looks like, either if he did touch him, he tagged him way down on the lower half of the body as Adam went in sliding head first.
And so now a runner in scoring position for Prairiland, and this pitch is going to be just off the mark outside. And they've got 3-2 up on the board. I've got 2-2. They're probably correct up there.
Keaton really came into his own hitting toward the latter half of last season. He's kind of carried that through again this year, kind of a clutch guy at that 3-hole.
And this one is off the plate, and that will be ball 4. Puts runners at first and second with Jaden Whitaker coming up. Still one out to go here in the bottom of the first inning, and an opportunity for the Prairiland Patriots. Raines was able to get 2 aboard with 2 outs, and then Rhodes ended that brief 2-out rally.
Whitaker's a good guy to have up right here. He's been swinging a hot bat lately. He's hit safely in all 4 district games so far.
And you talk about speed in the top half of this lineup. Whitaker, I've seen him not just, with the base hits and spreading the ball out, but also the ability to lay down a bunt and challenge the defense. Judging off of the swing on the first pitch, I doubt that that's going to be the case. Well.
And then again. Never try to outguess Coach Sanders.
Ever. That does take the count to 0-2.
Like I said, Jaden's been swinging a hot bat. In the second game against Lone Oak, he was 3 for 3 and drove in 6 runs. And he's got a hit in every game so far in district, and one right here would be good for the Patriots.
Really great job laying off of this one as fell back at the plate into the dirt. And that's a tough pitch. When you're down 0-2, it's a tempting one for sure. Sheridan comes to the plate and swinging strike 3. And that'll be the second out of the inning with Jack Phillips coming to the plate.
Now for the Patriots, the third baseman, number 6, Jack Phillips.
Phillips, another player who's having a really nice season for Prairiland, not just in the hitting department, but the work that he's done on the mound.
Right.
As Sheridan's first pitch, and this one hit out into center. Running in on it, making the play that time is going to be Cook, and that'll do it for the first inning. Both teams get a couple aboard, both leave a couple stranded. We'll head to the top of the second here on Game Day.
We're here at the biggest game of the year for the kickoff, and I say these local guys have no competition, John.
No doubt, Stephen. Why sweat in the press box?
When you can sit like a king.
And we got the best seats in the house right here, baby.
Where every seat is the best seat.
Oh, yeah. Texas Furniture and Appliance. Local since 1927.
These players are definitely in their comfort zone.
You say something?
Start of the top of the second inning. 0-0 as both teams were able to get a couple aboard, and both teams unable to scratch any across, and Luke Rhodes back at it, and Rhodes 1 inning, 3 outs, and all 3 of those strikeouts. And Weezy, you mentioned going into this game having seen Raines and Chisholm where they really racked up some strikeouts against the Mustangs, and now you go against a hard-throwing Luke Rhodes.
Right. And you know, some of Chisholm's pitchers are really similar to Rhodes. They're hard throwing. You don't get a lot of junk ball. They come right at you. You know, so they kind of set a precedent or you know, showed the path for what seems to work. And if they don't put the bat on it, they're not going to score many.
And that is what we saw from Rhodes. Just first couple of batters. Here's a fastball. Can you catch up to it? No, sir. All right, well, there's your seat in the dugout.
Right.
We're going to start off with Cannon Clayton, second baseman for Raines, and might have taken something off of that one to open up this at-bat. If you're geared up going against Rhodes, locating a changeup can be difficult for the batter as well, and then right back to the fastball might have been just off the plate.
Right, 'cause Rhodes is very good at disguising his pitches. You know, his fastball and his changeup look exactly the same, which is what you want it to do. But, you know, also his off-speed pitch, there's really nothing that gives it away either until a lot of times it's too late for the batter to decide.
2-2 count to Clayton. Rhodes shakes off a couple of signs. He has an idea of what he wants, and now the batter is going to call time. Now digging back in, Rhodes will come home with the 2-2, swinging through strike 3. And Weezy, they have just not been able to lay off the high heat from Rhodes.
You know, and other than this will be, you know, the 6th batter to face Rhodes. No, what is it, 7th batter, 8th batter. And, you know, really, the one guy got the hit that wasn't smashed at all. And other than just a couple of foul balls, they really not even put the bat on the ball very much. You know, occasionally you'll see with a hard thrower like this, you'll see some guys maybe getting around late and driving them down the right field line or trying to pick it up early and pull in one left. But, you know, so far they've not had any luck really to speak of getting anything solid on it.
Not able to catch the outside corner against Sheridan there. Moves the count to 3-0.
Yes, sir.
Next pitch, inside corner. In for a strike. Rhodes shakes off the first sign, gets the second, and now we go full after Sheridan fouls this one back into the net. Full count, payoff pitch from Rhodes on the way.
Yep.
And they're not giving him that outside corner, and there will be one aboard with 1 out for Raines, and bringing up Lynn Tollison, right fielder.
Yeah, Austin tried to frame that one, did a good job of it, but umpire was having no part of it.
Now for the Wildcats, the first baseman, number 12, Daniel Alvarado.
And now guess their lineup has someone a little different than what we had. Daniel Alvarado up to bat, playing first base. This one just a little bit low, takes count to 2-0.
You know, and the low pitch at the knees has been Rhodes' bread and butter the last couple of years. He'll come up high with it, try to get him to chase one, but he really does his work and does his damage with that one right there at the knees.
Now at 3-0, Rhodes just a little bit high and puts another on. Here in the bottom of the lineup, it'll this time Lynn Tollison.
You know, one thing with that Luke kind of runs into is the same thing that Nolan Ryan and Randy Johnson and those kind of guys ran into when the other team doesn't put the ball in play much. Sometimes your pitch count gets up pretty quick. You know, when there's no one pitch ground out or a 6-pitch inning because they've hit the first pitch or grounded or something. You know, when you're throwing and you get a 3-1 count, 3-2 count, you know, strike the guy out on 4 or 5 pitches, you know, your pitch count can get up there.
Number 10, the right fielder, Lynn Tollison.
But I imagine Coach Sanders will worry about that if he has to worry about it.
And one of the great things about Prairiland is they have a number of kids that can come into relief as the first pitch in for a strike. But, you know, at this level, having one pitcher is great. Having two is phenomenal. If you can have a third guy that really helps in relief or spot starting, whatever the case may be, in a series especially, it shows up in the playoffs, but in district, having that third guy is huge, and that's where Jack Phillips comes in.
Yes. Well, and you know, you mentioned is when it comes through in the playoffs. You know, as a freshman last year, you know, in the walk-off win against against Bells in by district, you know, it was Jack Phillips, a freshman, that comes in a tight game, pitches the last couple of innings, keeps Prairiland in it, and gives them a chance to win it. So you're right. That having a third guy that can come in and get outs is huge.
And so another strikeout counted in for Rhodes. And now there's 2 down. Runners at first and second. And a swinging strike one to Hunter Chandler, his second time up. And this at-bat starts the same way that the game started. Rhodes comes set. This one's in for a strike looking. And quickly ahead 0-2. And remember, Chandler struck out on 3 straight pitches his first at bat. As Rhodes may be ready to come right at him. This one outside for ball 1.
You know, and that's one where I know you don't want to groove one with 0-2 count, but when the guy hadn't got close to hitting it, it makes you almost want to just say, okay, here comes the heater again.
And this time he's able to foul one back into the net. And if you're Chandler, it's got to feel good just to be able to make some sort of contact. And he gets on top of that plate, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of sitting right here on the inside line, or what used to be the inside line of the right-handed batter's box, and if the line was there, his toes would be over it, especially that front foot. It's almost an inch or two from home plate.
Yeah, it's almost in line with the plate.
Top corner, right.
Maybe not so much this time for this pitch coming up, but he's made Rhodes work a little bit harder, calls time.
And I know you get on base any way you can, but I really wouldn't want to take a fastball from Rhodes to the arm or
zero protective gear either. And there's one on the inside corner. That's strike 3. And Luke Rhodes is dealing through 2 innings. We'll head to the bottom of the second. Prairiland coming to bat on game day.
At Raffaele Property Management, keeping our tenants comfortable is a top priority. That's why we trust Lone Star Heat and Air. They've always been dependable, quick to respond, and their work is top-notch. Whether it's routine service or an urgent call, they take care of it with professionalism and care. We couldn't recommend Lone Star Heat and Air more for anyone looking for a reliable HVAC service.
And we're back here on game day. Stephen Johnston, Wheezy Morrison as Raines heads out into the field. The Prairiland Patriots coming to bat in the bottom of the second inning. And Wheezy, 6 outs recorded, 6 strikeouts for Luke Rhodes.
Well, you know, I don't want to say we called it, but we talked about it, that Raines was prone to swinging and missing. And that's the thing, they're not really, I know the last strikeout came on a call third strike, but, you know, they're up there taking their cuts. They're just not able to catch up with it.
And they've had 4 base runners. One of them you can call a hit out into the left center field gap. Otherwise, the other 3 have been put on base via walk. And so not only are they up there taking their cuts, you know, they're laying off the ball whenever it's not in the zone, but there are some up there where they're just having a tough time letting it go by. The high heat has been really, really effective for Luke Rhodes in this game. We're going to have Wyatt Moore, Eli Robertson, and Aiden Lane due up for the Prairiland Patriots.
Wyatt is a lone left-hander in the Patriots lineup.
Takes a look at strike 1. Lone left-hander. Sheridan coming home. This one up in the zone.
You know, Wyatt he's really developed into a solid outfielder too. You know, last year I think early in the season with his first year, there he goes right up the middle.
That'll be the first base knock for Prairiland.
Brings up the left fielder, number 5, Eli Robertson.
I was gonna say, I think, you know, Wyatt was a little nervous out there in the outfield, being his first time at varsity and the starting left fielder and whatnot. But you know, as the season went on, the more comfortable he got, the more solid he became. Eli's another one I talked about. You know, made the most of his opportunities.
This one's poked out into right field, and you know, kind of a in-between ball, little Texas leaguer, if you will, and Wyatt had to get on his horse after seeing it drop in. And now there's 2 aboard with no outs, and Aiden Lane coming up.
You know, and that's what Eli's been doing. He doesn't have a whole lot of power. He's not one that's going to necessarily knock it off the wall every time it comes up, but the guy finds a hole with the ball when he gets his chance. He came in as a pinch hitter against Winsboro last Friday and came through with a hit similar to that. It was a little bit harder, but a hole shot through the hole and drove in a run Friday night, and Coach Sanders rewarded him with a start tonight.
And squaring around and watching this one go through the strike zone. And Lane, good-sized kid, a big kid. And so he gets a hold of one he can put some zip behind it. Looking at a 1-1 count here. Hitting with 2 aboard and no outs. This one down in the zone. And so that's a really good opportunity for Lane at the bottom of the lineup.
Right, you talk about him being a good-sized kid, and Coach Herb Smith was counting on him being one of his linebackers this year in football, and he broke his leg in the first scrimmage of the year and ended up missing just about the whole season.
And now takes one on the top of the helmet.
Lane takes one off the helmet, brings up the pitcher.
And now the bases are loaded for Luke Rhodes. Speaking of linebackers,
right?
I feel like, so, you know, Prairiland, I feel like they had more linebackers than any team their size, and one of them didn't even get to play. Just incredible. This one chopped right back to the pitcher, and they'll go home with it. And that will be the lone out to be recorded.
Rhodes grounds out to the pitcher for 1 out.
Right. And you know, according to what Coach Smith and them had said, that his injury was a lot like Dak Prescott's was when Dak broke his a few years ago. And they had to go in and do all sorts of stuff to it. But he actually came back late in the season and got to play I think the last game, so it's good to see Biscuit back. You know, and he's filled in good over at first base defensively too. You know, they lost their first baseman from last year to graduation, and it's kind of up for grabs. And he's been solid over there with the glove too.
And you love to see that in a young man who suffers an injury like that come back and get to play the sport that, you know, he didn't have to miss all, even though he missed most. Still got to put the pads on and, you know, play a game. And now he's out here on the diamond getting to play because, you know, something like that, it could cost you your entire school year.
Right.
Austin Gordon working with a 3-0 count and takes a look at strike 1.
Yeah, and believe me, I can empathize with him. You know, my son Brooks Morrison, he tore his meniscus his senior year in football and missed the whole basketball season. You know, so it can be, I mean, you can say, yeah, it's just the sports, but to a 17 or 18-year-old kid, that's what a big part of their life is. Ozzie draws a bases-loaded walk.
Gordon walks in a run. Brings up the center fielder, number 3, Adam Anderson.
That's what he wanted out of Eli Robertson when he put him out there. Get a hit, get on base, come around, score a run.
And so Prairiland, with the lead here in the bottom of the second, brings up Anderson. And, you know, Sheridan, not an overbearing guy with the velocity, but a guy who does keep the ball around the strike zone, just mixes his pitches up, having a little bit of a tough time locating. Gets Anderson swinging, like we said, mixes him up. Did a really good job of changing speeds that time.
Right.
The 1-1 to Anderson, and Sheridan steps off. And now coming to the plate, and this one fought off.
You know, Prairiland's got the bases loaded, and, you know, they've really yet to hit a hard one as well off of Sheridan. Like you said, it's kind of a little junk ball off speed. You know, he's trying to nibble around the corners. You know, so they really hadn't been able to barrel up on anything, but here'd be a good opportunity for Adam to do that. As
Kennebrew waits on deck, there's one out and the bases loaded, and got a good pitch to hit, fouls it off. Count remains 2-2. Sheridan comes home and taking a look at this one falling away off the plate. And count is loaded up for Anderson. Sheridan with the payoff pitch. And this one up in the zone.
Yeah.
And that'll be another run for Prairieland.
Adam was pretty patient on that at bat. You know, that last pitch Sheridan threw was one that a lot of guys might chase right there above the letters. 3-2 count. You're looking to swing, looking to put the ball in play.
Well, that's how I felt about the pitch before. Breaking pitch, going away, down and away. That's a tough one to lay off of for a right-hander. And this one, Kennebrew rakes into left field. That'll bring 1 run home. 2 runs come home. And the Prairiland Patriots have a big crooked number on the board.
The 2 RBI single brings up the second baseman, number 12.
Keaton roped that one
Whitaker
down the right field or the left field line. Had a pretty good rip on that ball. You know, and that's what, you know, you talk about the walks will kill you. It's kind of cliche and all of that, but, you know, we had 3 walks this inning by Sheridan is, you know, and just a few little soft ground balls, and Prairieland was able to take advantage and put a 4 on the board with still just 1 out.
And 2 runners aboard. And you still have good speed over there on second, so a base hit would certainly add another.
Don't do Keaton that way.
Well, a base hit from first to home is a little bit of a – and here's a hard hit ball out into the gap, and a great diving catch made.
Goodness.
And I don't think they expected him to get to that ball, and doubling up at second, that ends the rally. But Prairieland puts 4 on the board, and just an unfortunate event as that's –
well, and Anderson waited and looked and saw, and I thought, too, that it was going to drop, and he took off to third. And
nonetheless, Prairieland on top 4-0 here on Game Day.
Ready to rep your school and your wallet?
I'm here to open a student account and score that sweet school debit card.
With no monthly fees, mobile banking, and a debit card that shows your school pride, our student account is built for your game plan.
Get in the game. Open yours today.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
That JV.
And back here on Game Day, Stephen Johnston, Wheezy Morrison, the Prairiland Patriots put 4 on the board in the bottom of the second inning. And, you know, if it wasn't for a spectacular play made out there in center field by Gage Cook, you know, you're probably looking at least 6.
Yeah,
and
it
so
was, like, I thought it was down. And, I mean, the kid just made a headlong dive, and you know, you talk about catching it off the top of the grass, and he did.
Oh, yeah.
For the Wildcats.
And so that's a long time for Luke Rhodes to be sitting, and he has pitched extremely well. And for Raines, he is going to be seeing Gage Cook, who just made that diving play, followed by Jenkins and then Haney. This one chopped over third base side, and they're going to call it foul. It was pretty close.
And, you know, you hope Prairiland, if you're a Patriots fan, you hope Prairiland can, with a 4-0 lead, finish this thing out and not take their foot off the gas and let Raines climb back in it. I was just checking some other scores in the district, and Winsboro put 7 up in the first inning against Mount Vernon tonight and lead 7-3 in the third.
And I'll tell you what, and there are some intense rivalries across the state of Texas. Mount Vernon and Winsboro is a really good rivalry in just about every sport. As this time Jenkins fighting it off on back-to-back pitches to keep it at a 1-2 count. Yeah, it's turned into an incredibly intense football rivalry, fun one to be at. And then, tonight, Winsboro is a good team. Swinging through strike 3 on a breaking pitch. And that's the 7th strikeout for Rhodes by our count here in the top of the third, the first out here in the top of the third.
Oh, every out has been a strikeout.
Every single one of them. Now, the one kind of caveat to that is he's thrown 52 pitches.
Right. And, that's, like I said, that's kind of what you get with a guy when they're not putting it in play. You're not going to get the 5-pitch inning or 6-pitch inning that some pitchers sometimes stumble into to keep their counts low, or the guy hitting, grinding out on the second pitch or whatnot. But like I said, for Prairiland's fans, they would hope that, with a 4-0 lead that Luke can settle into it and finish them off.
And so just as he gets the strikeout, he puts one aboard with a walk, and that's going to bring up Sam Haney, the designated hitter. Takes a look at strike 1. And that's an important game for Prairieland as well. That Mount Vernon-Winsboro game. Mount Vernon's at the top, and Winsboro's right there, kind of in the similar spot as Prairieland is in the standings. And this one takes an unfortunate skip. I think that it might have caught the shoe of Lane and ends up out of play, and that's a free base for
and that was
for Raines.
Pickoff throw that was down a little low, and it either skipped or it hit like you said right there at Aiden's foot, or the base of his glove and skipped up. We also looked at the box score on that the Mount Vernon-Winsboro game, and they're in the third inning. Not only did Winsboro score 7, but Mount Vernon has made 5 errors. So, and that's big for
this one nubbed over to first base and an easy out, but advances the runner over to third. And that is the first out for Raines that hasn't been a strikeout.
That's big for Chisholm as well.
Sure.
Right there in the middle of things. They've still got Prairiland and Mount Vernon both on their schedules to play.
Split with Winsboro. I'll tell you, kudos to Briggs. Only, backing off of that one. That one's about nose high, and it would put me in the dirt.
Yeah, back in my glory days, I was the one that bailed out on a ball coming at his head, only for it to break down and hit the catcher right where his mitt was targeted. The umpires are ringing me up while I'm dusting off my pants.
Ain't that the way? So Rhodes behind 2-0. Haven't had a whole lot of luck on that outside corner. Moves count to 3-0. A man on third for the second time tonight for Raines. As there's strike one on the inside corner, a little more favorable that direction. As Rhodes brings it back to the plate, swinging strike two.
They got third. That's the farthest that
And this one is going to hit him.
Farthest that a Raines base runner, I was going to say, has advanced so far this game. First one to get to third.
That's going to bring up Clayton with runners at the corners for Raines. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Briggs over at first base. I'm not overtly familiar with the Wildcat players and, their athletic abilities, what they're capable of. But with a runner at third and 2 outs, always makes for an interesting situation. You send the kid, and if you're Prairieland, you attempt to throw down. Do you create some baseball chaos?
Right. Well, it's a situation that if I'm the Raines coach and I'm down 4 runs, I'm trying to get run number 2 in scoring position here. If I was within a run one way or the other, I might not chance getting him thrown out with a runner on third. But
now the other side to that is you've got a really hard-throwing Luke Rhodes, so that ball is going to get to the catcher quickly.
Right.
And then Austin certainly has a good arm, and you're really good up the middle. There he goes. Looking at strike 3, doesn't matter. Luke Rhodes sits him down. 2 strikeouts in the inning, and that brings his total to 8 for the night. Prairieland leads 4-0 and coming to bat here on game day.
Sorry you're under the weather, Susie. Here are those loan docs.
Thanks, James. I'm so glad we didn't have to delay this closing.
Tissue?
Thanks.
Secure and safe loan closings, or take care of just about any banking task. Experience the credit union difference. Anytime, anywhere. With RRCU's digital banking. Do you RRCU?
And we're back here on game day. Stephen Johnston, Wheezy Morrison, and Wheezy. We've got some interesting developments in this district tonight, talking about the Mount Vernon-Winsboro game. Of course, you've got this one in action as well.
That, if Winsboro holds on, that means that the best Mount Vernon can do is split with Winsboro, which is what Prairieland did, which is what Chisholm did, so everybody splits with everybody. So you look and maybe Mount Vernon is not necessarily any bit above or below the rest. They just kind of fit right in, so it's anybody's game here.
Yeah, that puts pretty much everyone in the district race.
The third baseman, number 6, Jack Phillips.
Phillips, Moore, Robertson due up for the Prairiland Patriots, bottom 3. Sheridan back on the hill and has a respectful pitch count, though things got really dicey in the bottom of the second where Prairieland plated 4. And when I say Raines was one spectacular defensive play away from that inning getting really out of hand.
Good, yeah, even on that play, Anderson, he is at least at third if he doesn't score, because if he doesn't make that catch, the ball probably goes past him to the wall.
And Kennebrew comes around as well.
Right. So, things would have really gone south in a hurry.
And some good pitching from Sheridan to start things off. Gets a couple of breaking balls to catch the corner. And then a swinging strike 3, and that'll bring up Wyatt Moore out of right field.
Wyatt drove one back up the middle his first at bat.
Yeah, kind of got things going for Prairiland. This one up and in on him.
You know, Wyatt's another one of those whose family has a long history at Prairiland. His grandfather, which you love this kind of stuff.
I love that. Yeah, everybody does.
His grandfather, Joe Darren Moore, was on the '86 state championship baseball team. So 40 years ago, his grandfather, Joe Darren, was a senior, and fast forward 40 years, and Wyatt is. And like I said, you know, had a key role in Prairiland's playoff run last year and in their by-district series win over Bells. Wyatt had some key hits and key runs.
Right now he's facing a 2-2 count from Sheridan. Couple of inside pitches and then fought one off, and this one low and inside takes it to 3-2.
Wyatt's got good speed too. If he gets on base, he's a threat to steal in a moment's notice.
This one fouled back into the net.
You know, not only is Wyatt the only left-hander in Prairiland's lineup, he worked at Wheezy's a little bit this summer, and he may be the only left-handed cook in the history of Wheezy's restaurant, 21 years.
That is something I would never, ever notice. That is which hand he's got the old spatula in. There you go. Following the strikeout, that'll bring up Eli Robertson. And Sheridan steps off. That's hilarious. So he's a true lefty. I mean, all things.
Right.
You know, does he throw left-handed? And
throws left, bats left, flips burgers left. Cuts club sandwiches left.
There you go. This one back up the middle and just by the pitcher, and a tough one to make for the middle of the infield for Raines, and Robertson's aboard with 2 out.
So again, what Eli does is not necessarily pretty, but it is effective.
I wonder, you know, then you start thinking about other things like, you know, throwing darts, bowling, riding left-handed, you know. How far are we really going with this?
Right.
This one hit hard into left field, getting around on it, and Lane is aboard, and Prairiland has a 2-out rally going. That brings up Luke Rhodes.
You know, and that's something that Coach Tony Sanders has got to like to see, because Robertson and Lane are both coming back next year. So,
and you're looking at the bottom of your lineup that has really contributed.
That was going to be my next point. They're hitting 7 and 8 this year, and you know, with the losses they're going to have, those guys will be looked at to step up and be hitting higher up in the lineup next year.
That'll bring up Luke Rhodes. He's having a really good night on the bump.
Luke has some power too. He hit a home run, hit one out of the park last year against Lone Oak. So, you know, he can get a hold of one. He's a strong kid too.
Another one of those Prairiland linebackers. I think they've got 3 here in the batting order.
And one's back there behind us in the scorers table. Newman is back there.
Prairieland's all-time leading tackler.
So if an all-out melee breaks out, I'm finding one of those guys and getting behind them.
Called strike to Rhodes. It takes the count to 1-2. Sheridan coming set. Looking to get out of a jam. And swinging through strike 3. He gets out of it. Prairieland strands 2. Score remains 4-0. Patriots with the Wildcats coming to the plate here on game day.
At Moore Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Paris, we can make your next vehicle purchase simple, stress-free, and built around you. Whether you're looking for a rugged Ram truck, an adventurous Jeep, or a quality pre-owned, we have the right vehicle for you at the right price. And with over 700 five-star reviews, our customers know that our friendly, knowledgeable staff is here for you. So come see us off the loop in Paris, Texas, and for more details, visit morecdjr.com.
Back here on game day, Luke Rhodes back on top of the hill. 69 pitches deep into this one for Rhodes. And it has been all or nothing, really. Strikeouts galore, 8 so far. Otherwise, several walks. I think they have 2 hits and then 1 put out that was just kind of slowly rolled over to first base.
Right. And, you know, you mentioned the nearly 70 pitches that Luke's got through 13. That goes back to Jack Phillips and his importance to this team, is that you can have a guy like Luke just go all out, you know, do your thing, and if you run out of pitches in the 5th inning, you know that you've got a solid guy coming in and not well, let's hope we can make it through these next 2. That Jack's proved, and it's a good change from Luke. Luke's in here throwing gas, and Jack comes in, and he's another one of those that he doesn't strike out a lot, but he doesn't walk a whole lot either. You know, forces them to put the ball in play and play defense behind him.
And it also gives Luke, you know, kind of the ability to just rear back and let it rip the way he likes to.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about the big number out there in the left corner on the scoreboard. He can just rear back and throw and not change a thing.
Yeah, it's a pretty good advantage for Prairieland to have those 3 guys, and then we look at the other Lamar County team in Chisholm, and interestingly enough, they have a similar situation with 2 guys in Baird and Howard that are their usual starters, but Thiessen can come in and pitch for you as well.
And you know, Thiessen, which, you know, Jack Phillips, he will have his shot next year when the seniors have graduated. He'll be, Prairieland's #1 guy. Grady Bassano is another sophomore that's not getting as much time as I'm sure he would like up here. But, there are times coming, and the same with Thomas Thiessen, he would be a legit starter on most teams in district. That they would love to have him as their Tuesday or Friday guy.
And so that'll be strikeout number 9 for Rhodes.
Now up for the Wildcats, number 12, Daniel Alvarado.
And it brings up Alvarado hitting from the left side of the plate with 1 away.
Alvarado, one of the few batters for Raines that hasn't struck out against Rhodes tonight.
I wonder if Luke knows that or is kind of conscious of that sort of thing. Like, I got to get this guy. He's one of those that haven't struck out. He's quickly ahead 1-2 in the count. And that last pitch was one that Luke loves to get.
Well, it didn't take him long to put him in that category.
Not take long at all. And we talked about, you know, Luke and kind of the pitch count getting a little bit elevated, and he has 2 very quick outs here in the 4th. Opens this one up 2-0. Tollison, the right fielder, hitting with 2 outs, and there's strike 1.
You know, and at this point, I don't, you know, if I'm the Reigns coach or one of the Reigns players, I'm not sure. Do I go up there saying I'm looking for a fastball first pitch and I'm going to start taking my cuts, or do you go, I can't hardly hit that, I'm going to wait for maybe to walk me?
And that is the final strikeout of the inning, and he puts 3 down, and we'll be right back here on Game Day.
Yay! We're so excited you decided to become a member.
Thanks. I didn't think it would be this easy.
I know. We've opened up memberships so even more people can take advantage of our amazing services.
Are you going to clean this up?
Become a new member and take advantage of all RRCU can offer. Experience the credit union difference anytime, anywhere.
No, seriously, are you going to clean this up?
Do you RRCU?
Back here on Game Day, Stephen Johnston, Wheezy Morrison, and Wheezy Prairiland. You know, that second inning doing all the heavy lifting is Sheridan has been pretty good tonight. He's worked his stuff in and out. Loves that breaking ball that goes low and away. Like you said, a very heavy right-handed hitting Prairiland Patriot lineup. But 4 put up in the bottom of the second. And, of course, you know whenever Rhodes collects those strikeouts as they head back to the dugout, Coach Sanders is rooting on for more runs.
Right. And, you know, he's been just effective other than the 4 spot that Prairiland scored in the second inning where, you know, he kind of got into trouble with a couple of walks and hit a batter. But other than that, he's got into a couple of jams. Prairiland stranded, 5 or 6 runners, 5 runners so far. So he's gotten out of some jams other than that second inning. But Prairiland hopes they can put together, another one of those and pad their lead a little bit.
Well, they'll start with the top of their order in Austin Gordon. And he slices one foul, comes out swinging.
Austin he's really kind of Prairiland's version of the Lou Gehrig Wally Pipp. His freshman year, he was on the JV, and the varsity catcher got injured early in the season.
That was that.
And so they brought Ozzie up, and he's been the starting catcher ever since. He never took the gear off.
Well, that means that you stepped up and did a phenomenal job, or else you're back on JV.
Right. Especially as a freshman. For a freshman to come in and, in a position such as catcher and take over and work with the staff and whatnot, that says a whole lot about Ozzie and just his natural abilities and instincts and the hard work that he puts in as well.
This one rolled over to third base, bobbled, and it'll be tough for Reigns. And with Gordon's speed, he's going to reach. And you really got to get one clean and a good transfer and throw over to third to get Austin Gordon.
Right. Not only is he a 4-year starter at catcher, he's a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher for the football team. So he does have speed. That's one thing Ozzie has had since he started playing the game.
Now, I will say Chandler's a good catcher, and he makes a good transfer and a strong throw, accurate down to second. But you have a guy on the mound that's a little bit more finesse, and there goes Ozzie with the bunt laid down by Anderson, and Anderson's going to beat it, and the ball goes into right field, and here comes Austin Gordon around to score, and Anderson is standing at second.
Yeah, I don't think they were going to get Anderson even with a good throw there.
Run on the air brings up the shortstop, number 7, Keith Kennebrew.
And that was just a simple case of putting pressure on the defense. You know that you've got speed over at first. Get a good bunt down, and let's see if they're able to play some fundamental baseball.
Well, and the bunt was perfectly placed with, being a right-handed pitcher. He's falling away to the opposite side, and it was right there on the it was perfect in no man's land. And with Adam's speed, there wasn't really much hope to get him. So now if Keaton can punch him one through, he can get him another RBI tonight.
And Kennebrew had a hard hit ball into left field as Anderson takes his lead off second, and he'll go, and this one's down in the dirt. So now a man standing at third. And we haven't seen that a lot from Sheridan. I mean, everything has been right around the plate. Not too many that have caught the ground.
Yeah.
So well timed.
Right. Chandler didn't have much of a chance to get at him on that one. He kind of dropped and assumed the catcher's position of blocking a ball with his chest protector there.
So 2-1 count to Kennebrew, and Sheridan coming home, and now Kennebrew showing bunt, and this one will go foul. I like that idea. Anderson, we saw the speed forcing the issue over at first base after his bunt, and even though Kennebrew can hit a ton, hey, let's just go ahead and get this guy in. Let's bring this runner across. Instead, it'll be 2-2. And this one sliced towards third and foul, and Coach Sanders showing off the barehanded grab over there, yeah.
He was a pretty decent ball player, again, back in the 85, 86, 87 years for the Paris Wildcats. When he was 10 or 11 years old, he could hit a ball as far as any 10 or 11-year-old I've ever seen.
So he was a Woodall warrior?
He was. Like I said, later with with Paris High, he was a solid player with those games. And they had some really good baseball teams back in those years as well.
And this one low, and Kennebrew is aboard. And, Coach Sanders coached over at Paris for a while before coming over here to Prairiland. And that's where he and I, really got to know each other. And, he's done a phenomenal job here with the Patriots, and he loves it out here in Pattonville. As Jaden Whitaker comes to the plate. And they're going to say a balk, and that is one way to bring a run up.
Whitaker's kind of shaking his head like they robbed me of an RBI chance.
Well, he's still got
to get extra bases now. Drive one in the hard way.
Absolutely. Oh, that guy. Oh, here's my opportunity. No, Keaton from second. He can come around to score on a base hit.
I tell you, like I said, Whitaker's been he's been hot for the Patriots in district. He's hitless tonight, but he hasn't been in the previous 4 district games. He's hit it, and he's hit it hard. They hadn't been cheap ones.
And that was the ball. It was off of Whitaker's bat that was caught out in center field that really saved this thing from being a 6-run second inning.
Right.
And so that's probably a part of why he's shaking his head. And whenever the balk was called, thinking, I got robbed in the first inning, might have got robbed of another RBI here in the 4th. Two and 0, and skies this one up and out of play.
Well, and Jayden, he's got pretty decent speed too. If that ball's not caught and it goes to the wall, he could easily be standing on third with a triple.
We saw his speed in football season playing what position?
Depending on which night.
That's true. Linebacker on defense. And lays down a bunt. That'll put the runner over at first and at third, and no chance to get Whitaker.
No.
Whitaker with the bunt single.
And that was a good. Whenever the first baseman charged the second baseman had been holding Kennebrew at second, and there was no way he was going to get from second to first in time to get Jayden.
Now I think we're going to get either a talking to or a pitching change. Haven't seen any kind of signal. Up to 78 pitches, and Sheridan hasn't had a bad night. Prairiland's tagged him a few times, but also a couple of errors, and they will make a switch. New pitcher for the Rains Wildcats. We're going to tell you about him on the other side of this break. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
We're here at the biggest game of the year for the kickoff. And I say these local guys have no competition, John.
No doubt, Stephen. Why sweat in the press box?
When you can sit like a king.
And we got the best seats in the house right here, baby.
Where every seat is the best seat.
Oh, yeah. Texas Furniture and Appliance. Local since 1927.
These players are definitely in their comfort zone.
You say something?
At Property Management, keeping our tenants comfortable is a top priority. That's why we trust Lone Star Heat and Air. They've always been dependable, quick to respond, and their work is top-notch. Whether it's routine service or an urgent call, they take care of it with professionalism and care. We couldn't recommend Lone Star Heat and Air more for anyone looking for a reliable HVAC service.
New pitcher to tell you about for Rains, and it is Cooper Combs. Coming out of the dugout onto the mound, right-hander. And for the Prairiland Patriots, you're going to have Jack Phillips, and still hitting with nobody out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And runners on first and third for the Prairiland Patriots as they've broken this one open now at this point, 6-0. Obviously, baseball, there's no timer. But I'll tell you this, with the way that Luke is pitching on the mound for Prairiland, and then, pitch count is getting on up there. Jack Phillips is, there in relief. This is Prairiland's to take home.
Yeah, Prairiland, and not only is it 6-0, we got 2 runners on base and nobody out. So, you would think they might tag on another 1 or 2 before they get out of this inning. I was looking back to see if I could find anything on Combs, and he hadn't pitched, since March the 6th. He came in when they were playing Jacksonville, threw for an inning, 2/3, struck out 2, walked 1, allowed 1 hit. But he hadn't appeared in any of the district games so far, and he didn't appear in either of the 2 games previous to district play starting. So it's been a while since he's been on the hill, at least as a varsity pitcher.
Well, this is going to start out a tough assignment for him. Jack Phillips with runners at the corners and no outs, and he's able to get a very unique strike on Phillips, who squared around a bunt. Ball came right at him and I think caught the handle of the bat where he had his hands spaced out, and that'll go down as a foul ball and a strike. I think Phillips is trying to claim that he pulled back and the ball hit him in the hand.
I think that's what what are they saying?
I think they're going to
they're
keep
sticking with the foul call.
And I don't think that the official at second is going to be able to help you there much.
No, and you know, the home plate umpire is going more on what he heard than what he saw. And,
right.
You know, with headphones on, sitting here right behind home plate,
we're not much help either.
You couldn't tell if it was the sound of it hitting the bat or, you know, or hitting him on the hands. You know, that's where Jack's got to learn to settle it a little better. Drop the bat, shake your hands.
Yeah.
You know, call the trainer over, see if your knuckle's broken. You know, sell it. But he's just a sophomore. He'll learn.
And he does pull back on this one, and Whitaker will take second.
You know, Jack's got pretty good power too. He hit a double to the wall Friday against Winsboro. And hit the bottom of the fence there, so he can drive one.
Yeah, good-sized kid, like you said, a sophomore, and so he'll still continue to develop. Had an opportunity to meet and talk to Jack a little bit at the end of football season at the state championships, as this one's popped over to third and dropped. And so new life given, and so and now they're going to send him back to the play. I think that Coach Whitley, you know, just in case that ball was dropped and came back into fair territory, he'd say, well, we got a guy on base.
Right. You know, Jack's one of those kids that if you just look at the way he holds himself and the way he walks and the way he stands up there, he just looks like a ball player.
He smashes one over to third and right at the third baseman for Raines, and a great play made by Jenkins.
Well, Jenkins had no choice on that one. It was catch it or get drilled right in the chest.
I mean, that ball was smoked.
And it never got over about 3.5 feet high.
And Jenkins, we talked about, you know, the inside pitches putting us in the dirt. I know that I'm not catching that one.
Well, and that is the kind of hit that if it comes in the first inning, Jenkins is in trouble, because we talked about the sun and all that bearing right on the third baseman is looking right into the sun, and that ball was.
Yeah, it's better to happen at 8:25 p.m. than at 7:25 p.m. Right. This one up in the zone. And Wyatt Moore ahead in the count, 2-0. 1 out, runners at second and third. This one's going to catch what I like to call the outermost part of the outside corner of the plate.
the black.
And this one out towards center field, shading over and making the catch, tagging up. And another run on the board, and that'll go down as an RBI for Moore.
Well, that's what, he talked about with Wyatt, that he gets things done. He had a little single up the middle earlier in the game to get on base. And then you got a runner at third with less than 2 outs. Just get the ball deep and get the runner in.
Now Eli Robertson to the plate. He's had a nice night as well. This one up and in the zone for ball 1. Combs in relief for Sheridan comes set, the 1-0. And poking this one foul.
Eli, he usually puts the ball, I don't want to jinx the kid, but usually he'll put the ball in play somewhere.
This one chopped foul. Eli 1 for 2 tonight with a run scored.
Which that's what I always told Brooks and Fisher. If you just make contact and put it in play, good things can happen.
Evens count up at 2-2. Combs coming home. And this one looped out into right field. It's going to fall. And this one will be an RBI single for Eli Robertson as Jaden Whitaker slides in.
Eli's 2 for 3 now. He's been on base all 3 times. Got on an error his second at bat. But like I said, the guy, when you get your opportunities, make the most of them, and he's doing that.
And we also talked about the bottom of this lineup for Prairieland. Your 7-hole hitter coming through, a 2 for 3 night, a run, an RBI. And we have an ailing Rains Wildcat, and it looks like he's going to be able to make his way out into the dugout and
kind of limping.
Yeah, with the help of some teammates. So good to see that young man up and doing okay. Come in charging hard at a ball that's, kind of hanging in the air a while. You think that you have an opportunity, and, a lot of people may not consider baseball really just a physical sport, but because of the diving, the sliding, and, the pressure that you can put on your lower extremities, it's more than just twisted ankles that occur out there.
And that little dive, and even the one that from center field earlier, is you're not diving straight. You're kind of twisting and contorting your body as you're diving. You're reaching out, your shoulders. So, yeah, there's lots of opportunity for injury when you leave your feet and all.
So now Aiden Lane hitting with a man aboard and 2 outs. And this one smoked over towards the Prairieland dugout.
If the Patriots had a kangaroo court, Aiden would be contributing now for making a deposit. There's a hit.
Out in center, fading back, and the out is recorded. That'll do it for the bottom of the 4th. We will head to the 5th with Prairieland ahead 8-0 here on Game Day. Ready to rep your school and your wallet?
I'm here to open a student account and score that sweet school debit card.
With no monthly fees, mobile banking, and a debit card that shows your school pride, our student account is built for your game plan.
Get in the game. Open yours today.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
And we're back at the land. Stephen Johnston, Wheezy Morrison, Luke Rhodes back on the hill. Prairiland leading 8-0, and some redundancies on the scoreboard. Nothing but zeros for Rains. Meanwhile, 0-4-0-4 for Prairiland, and that's how we've gotten to where we're at in this district matchup. And how's that?
Mount Vernon, Winsboro's thrown a couple more. They're up 9-3 now, and I just checked Winsboro in their first game against Prairiland last week. Their starting pitcher, who was the one that kind of shut Chisholm down in the second game against Chisholm, Worley is his last name. He kind of tweaked his back or something, and he was supposedly their number one guy. He's not pitching. A kid named Birdsong, who had come in relief both against Chisholm and against Prairiland, is getting a start tonight, and he's held Mount Vernon pretty much in check. Which, if they've got three pitchers, that kind of speaks well for their chances.
Sure.
With Mount Vernon. They've still got Rains to play. They've already split with Prairiland and with Chisholm. Mount Vernon scored 3 in the first inning, and it's batting in the top of the 7th now. They're down 9-3.
So Rhodes fell behind 2-0 quickly to Chandler, and then evens the count up with his next two pitches, 2-2. And Chandler has had a tough time against Luke Rhodes. He'll put this one in play, third base side, and delivered accurately for out number 1. And Chandler probably headed back to the dugout saying, yeah, what do you think about that? finally able to get some bat on the ball. And that's going to bring up Cook, the center fielder.
Yeah, moral victories. He didn't strike me out that time. Cook's another one, though, 2 times at bat, and Rhodes has struck him out both times.
Swinging through strike 1. And now I believe that is the second put out. And there's the third, a diving catch made by Jaden Whitaker.
Whitaker with the diving catch at second base brings up.
Otherwise, you'd had 1 out prior that wasn't a strikeout from Luke Rhodes, and here you get the ground out to third and the line out to second.
Whitaker made that play look easier than it really was. It was all kind of one of them tweeners. Do I dive for it? Do I come up on it? Is it going to drop? Is it going to hit? How do you play this? And, Jaden was, he played it aggressively, came in and got it rather than waiting back on it.
Yeah, I think Jaden Whitaker saw an opportunity to get the jersey dirty and took that.
Right.
I don't think it was much of a decision. Swinging through strike 3. And that'll do it for the inning. A quick 5th. We'll head to the bottom half here on Game Day.
Sorry you're under the weather, Susie. Here are those loan docs.
Thanks, James. I'm so glad we didn't have to delay this closing.
tissue.
Thanks.
Secure and safe loan closings, or take care of just about any banking task. Experience the credit union difference. Anytime, anywhere. With RRCU's digital banking. Do you RRCU?
And we're back here on game day. Stephen Johnston, Wheezy Morrison, and it is Combs back on the hill. Bottom of the 5th inning. And for the Prairiland Patriots, they have put up 0 in the first, 4 in the second, 0 in the third, 4 in the fourth. So if that continues, you might see 0 in this inning and then a big one in the 6th.
Well, 2. And then it'd be 10.
That'd be it, yeah.
Unless something happens with rains all of a sudden. But they really hadn't shown that they're getting any closer to hitting roads now than they were in the first inning.
With the exception of, they've put the ball in play. That's about it, though. The one hit to second to Whitaker was a decently hit ball. Otherwise, slow roller over to third, slow roller over to first earlier in the game, and that's really been about it.
Outfield may be getting
Little League outfield vibes out there, yeah. If it was me, I'd have a glove full of dirt and throw it up in the air, watch it.
Picking dandelions.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's Blaine McCormick going to get a chance to take a few cuts.
Takes a look at ball 1 to open things up against Combs, and Big Shug on deck.
Waiting his time. McCormick's a senior. Well, there was another oddity.
Yeah, he wanted time, and it wasn't granted as Combs was already into his windup, and Combs threw a ball while he was out of the batter's box.
Standing there watching.
Big Shug McQueen.
PA announcer Kyle Kinslow announcing him as Big Shug. Look out, Chuck Morgan.
He'll be hitting with a man on and no outs.
I tell you, I coached Caden James back when he was maybe 9 or 10 years old, and even back then, he was a contact hitter. He put the bat on the ball pretty consistently. I'm not saying I had anything to do with that. I'm just saying
it's all coaching.
He can hit the ball.
He learned the fundamentals, and, there's got to be something to it. McCormick gets the stolen base, and so Shug now ahead in the count 3-1 with a man on second. So great opportunity for him with a hitter's count. Swinging through strike 2, and this ump doesn't grant time.
Doesn't grant time at all.
Combs was nowhere close to going into his windup, and
and it was obvious that, McQueen was wanting a minute or two, and
asked well in advance,
With one out, brings up the center fielder, number 3, Adam Anderson.
That'll bring up Anderson with one out. McCormick standing on second.
Well, that was disappointing. I was wanting to see Big Shug swing away.
So now that has, caused a little confusion with a pitcher that resulted in a walk and with a batter that results in a strikeout.
Exactly. Thought he was coming over to scold me for talking.
He's got a little earpiece listening to the broadcast, maybe?
Talking about him not giving time.
Here's your time, yeah.
It won't be the first umpire that's ever scolded me.
Yeah, I didn't see how baseball got loose, in the backstop, and now Anderson called time and was and now I don't know anyone called time and it's granted. One and one the count. Combs coming home up in the zone.
I got to go a little easier on the umpires now. Brooks has started umpiring, so
it's a little more near and dear to the heart,
right?
Huh? Used to it was come on ump, and now it's give these guys a break.
Yeah, come on, lock in, find your strike zone.
Yeah, we're right here behind the net, behind home plate, and it's not a overly big backstop, and so I'm not sure. I wouldn't say we're saying anything negative by any stretch, but Anderson will take first base following the walk, and that'll bring up Kennebrew. He's had a really good night tonight. First pitch off the mark.
Keaton's also been on base all 3 times. Drew a couple of walks, got a base hit, a couple of RBIs. Hard hit out to left field earlier.
And so this one getting by the catcher, Chandler, and will allow the runners to head to second and third. So another opportunity for Prairieland in the heart of their order. As Kennebrew knew it as well, took a big swing. The 2-1, and he's up there looking to possibly end this game, I think's what he's got in mind.
Right.
Instead, he will head back to the dugout, and that will bring up Jaden Whitaker.
2 outs, runners on second and third, brings up the second baseman, number 12, Jaden Whitaker.
Yeah, I mentioned before, Whitaker's been the Patriots' hottest hitter of late, so.
This one a bit low in the zone, hitting with 2 outs.
If you're wanting to get home early, he's a good one to have up there with runners in scoring position.
This one well up. The 2-0. This one sliced back. And Combs, he doesn't put it just right down the middle. He's either missing bad or he is right there around the edges of the plate. And, boy, he went into that really quick. I'm not sure that he ever came set.
Yeah, and he's sort of standing at an angle that's kind of between a wind up and the stretch.
And that's fine. This one's well upstairs. But going, he was on the back of the mound and then stepped up. It kind of went right into, and I don't know that you can do that. Payoff pitch to Whitaker, and he'll foul this one back, and we'll do it again.
Well, and then he was going into a traditional stretch, and the umpire stopped him because he was quit pitching, and he went back to the windup and hit Whitaker.
And that'll load him up for Jack Phillips.
One thing with Rhodes, in case they get a hit here and he ends the game and he doesn't come back out, he's got 12 strikeouts tonight and he's only walked 4. And that was kind of what we had talked about him working on and getting control, his control, and he's had it tonight. And if you get that Rhodes, the performance we had tonight out of Rhodes, Prairiland is got to be licking their chops at that, and their chances look pretty good with the upcoming schedule.
It's feeling like it's anybody's district.
Right.
I think if, Mount Vernon had shown up tonight and
if that score would have been backwards.
Yeah.
If it was 9-3 Mount Vernon, then we're saying
they're probably looking at being the ones who, I don't know about running away with it, but
they're the ones we got to go after.
Yeah, well in control for sure. But now, Prairiland looking to go to 4-1. Mount Vernon dropping to 4-1. And Combs is going to walk a run home.
Phillips draws a walk, brings in a run. That brings up number 10, Wyatt Moore.
And that takes us to 9-0, and they're still chock full.
And that's big for Winsboro too. Instead of being 2 games behind an undefeated Mount Vernon, you're sitting at 3-2 now, and just a game back of a team you split with and a team that you just took one from.
Sure. 2-0 now, and this one down in the dirt. 3-0, and Combs is 1 ball off the plate away from ending this one here in the bottom of the 5th, and that one's a little bit high, and
a walk-off walk.
A walk-off. And that'll do it. That's the ball game. Touch anticlimactic, but I tell you what, no matter what, Coach Sanders will take it, and the Prairiland Patriots win it and improve to 4-1 in District 12-3A. For Reed Preston, our producer, Wheezy Morrison on the mic with me tonight. Thank you very much to Brittany Young and Ava Langley on the cameras.